The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 aye. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return.
Hi everyone. In this video I wanted to talk about behavioural patterns that I'm seeing emerging with YouTubers in the pagan YouTube community and the shadow self. Now, I've been watching YouTube videos for a very long time, and I have watched a lot of YouTubers claim that they work with their shadow self, they know their shadow self, they know the limitations of their shadows, etc., etc. But what I find interesting about this is that a lot of the YouTubers that I see make these claims are also the same YouTubers that have probably the most to the public, and the way they project themselves to the public, they are seen as being very extroverted people that, generally speaking, have the most confidence, have the most views, have the most subscribers. But the behavioural patterns that I see emerging from watching them over a period of time tell a different story. Now, it is a generalization again, because this is a behavioural system that I'm seeing emerge that has happened with more than one person. So I'm not at all directing this video towards one person, and it may even be something that you see as viewers within me, but I don't see within myself. And that's where I'm trying to start the discussion on this particular topic in this video, because the behavioural pattern that I see within people is that people will make videos for 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 months on a particular subject, focusing on a particular element of their practice or of their life, or they found a new opening, a new doorway, and they've walked through it. And they focus and stick to this particular element for maybe 2, 3, 4 months, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, perhaps it be a personal reason, perhaps it be something to do with YouTube or the online social communities, but they seem to have a complete meltdown. Everything comes down, everything changes. They take a rest from YouTube, they take a rest from Facebook, from their websites, from whatever social platform that they frequent the most. They take it all down, and then within a week or so, they re-emerge yet again as a blossoming new flower, and they have a whole new outlook on their spiritual path, on life, and they're starting on a whole new, a whole new facet of their spirituality. But what my worry is with these sorts of YouTubers and these behavioral patterns that I'm seeing is that they're actually not spiritually ascending. What they're actually doing is letting their shadow self take over more than they actually know. And a way of explaining it, how can I explain it so it actually makes sense? Say we have a triangle, okay? We have our thoughts, and I think I have mentioned this in one of my previous videos about the shadow self. We have our thoughts lead to emotions, and our emotions then lead to actions. However, I do believe that a lot of people let their thoughts lead to these emotions, and this is where we're getting stuck with the shadow self. And people, because it seems like some of the people on YouTube are stuck on a cycle. They're not spiritually ascending. What essentially they are doing, they're stuck on a merry-go-round, and they think that they've found this new path, this new element of their life that they want to explore, but then it all falls apart and crumbles when they either don't get the reaction from the public they're looking for, or they don't feel spiritually satisfied with what they were looking for, hoping that they would, finding that particular element of their spirituality, but they just seem to keep going around and around and around on this merry-go-round. And I find it a really, really interesting behavioral pattern, because essentially what I think is that they have these thoughts, or they think that they found something, and they become emotionally attached to that, and then when they realize all their emotions start to, in a sense, become a little bit skewiff. They're not feeling as satisfied as they thought, or the public are reacting to their new spiritual path in a negative fashion. Those emotions, and then they begin to demonstrate, lead to actions, that start the whole cycle again. And I do believe that this is a form of shadow that they haven't dealt with, because they haven't dealt with that emotion that leads to the action, that essentially it is, they're dark emotions that lead to the actions, which means, which essentially what I'm saying is, I can think it sounds good in my head, but trying to explain it's really difficult. Essentially what they're doing, like I said, they're on a merry-go-round. They're not evolving spiritually because it's this part of their shadow that they haven't explored, whether that be an inability to take on board negativity, whether that can be a inability to take criticism well, or the inability to just accept that people don't like you, and therefore take everything down, and they start afresh. They start a whole new spiritual outlet, or even just socially within the community, starting new channels and this, that, and the other. They're looking for that sense of security from the public. They're looking for acceptance from within the public, and when they don't find it, they start on a whole new ball game. And then once again, when that starts to fall apart, everything comes down, and they emerge again as this beautiful bright flower. And then as soon as it starts to fall apart again, bang, and the circle goes around. And I think that this is a very, very, it's detrimental to one's practice, I personally believe, because it's a part of your shadow self that you haven't realized emerges. And I probably these behavioral patterns too, and I haven't noticed them myself, because we're so caught up in what we're doing on a daily basis, and projecting ourselves a certain way to the public, that we don't actually realize just how much the public perceive of our personalities. And I think it's a really, really interesting topic, and I'd like to hopefully start a discussion with this video about it. Do you see that within me? Do you have these behavioral patterns yourself that you actually notice emerging, but you don't know how to work with that part of your shadow self? Or is it something that you just repress and ignore? I would be interested to know, because I really am seeing it quite a lot lately. People just seem to either start a new channel and that channel comes down. They start a new website. So many things are being started, and people are moving into these, and a lot of it, as a lot of people, as a discussion point, are talking about moving into the age of Aquarius. A lot of people think that we've already moved into the age of Aquarius, but it is this spiritual awakening. I think a lot of people directly correlate it with being the 21st of December, that the world, the end of the Mayan calendar, that we're ascending into this new age. And a lot of people are correlating that or blaming that for this upheaval in emotion that a lot of people are going through at the moment. Well, and we're in Mercury retrograde at the moment, so I know that there's every time this happens, there's so much, it's like somebody lifts up the rug and all the dust just comes flying up, and there's a lot of negativity. But I think at the moment there's probably some extra negativity, if that's what you believe spiritually, that we are moving into the age of Aquarius. But for me, it's just something that I'm noticing a lot lately. People just keep swapping and changing their spiritual practice, their spiritual path, their spiritual views, essentially more than they change their underwear. And for me personally, I find it, in a sense, I find it almost insincere, because I feel that people don't understand their own spirituality on a whole, and they're trying to project themselves to the public as somebody who's spiritually self-assured, as somebody knowledgeable, because nobody essentially wants to upload videos where they look like they don't know what they're talking about. So they like I said, they're looking for that social security and that sense of acceptance from the public. But what they're doing, hello baby, but what they're doing, but now I'm distracted. Don't you hate that? But essentially what they're doing every time they make a change, being that there's such frequent changes, they're projecting themselves as being very insincere. Well, that's what I take from it, because I feel like I'm just getting used to this facet of this person's personality, and then all of a sudden it's changed and the personality changes again. I feel like I'm watching a whole new person going around the merry-go-round again. And I feel like some days I'm just sitting going, oh, okay, so when's this going to happen again? So I don't want to make this video too long, but hopefully my beautiful sisters won't be cross with me for doing this, but I am going to post this video on the Feathers and Flight channel, and I will also post it on my channel, because I would actually like to open a discussion about I'm distracted again. I'm sorry. Somebody's going past and past and past, so I keep getting distracted. About behavioral patterns and how you perceive people's individual behavioral patterns here on YouTube within the pagan community, and just in general in social networking platforms, because I spend so much time online, I work online, so it's something that I just see emerging on a greater scale at the moment. And I'm not sure that the YouTubers that upload these videos are meaning to necessarily be perceived, or they're not trying to project themselves as being insincere. But when I see so many changes, just bang, 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 I don't see that as, oh, I've come out of my shell and I found a whole new me, or I'm spiritually ascending because I'm just taking a step further within my spirituality. I think that people, they just keep coming to a block. So then they go around again and try and find another outlet to feel that spiritual satisfaction. And they don't actually realize that they're not ascending, because they don't actually know their shadow self. They don't know that limitation between emotion and action. And they're getting stuck, so therefore they just keep going around and around on this spiritual merry-go-round without realizing that they haven't dealt with that inability, I guess, online, to deal with those emotions that lead to the actions that keep them going around. So anyway, I don't want to make this video terribly long. It's just something that's really interesting me at the moment, because like I said, a huge part of my practice as a witch is knowing behavioral patterns and being able to watch people's behavioral patterns, and just a psychology in general, and how the mind works. And just watching people on a daily basis and watching their channels from start to finish, you just see these patterns and some people, it just goes around and around and around again. Yeah, and I find it really interesting, because I don't think that they realize that emotionally they're not really, or spiritually ascending, that they're just going around in circles. So like I am doing right now with this conversation. Anyway, I'm just having a really nice day today. I did actually film this video yesterday. Well, this is down to 12 minutes. It was 20 minutes long yesterday. And for some reason, the audio was all out of sync, and then the sound went out halfway through. So I pray to the God and Goddess, please don't do that to me today, because I will be really fucking pissed off. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Please post a video response to this, a direct video response, and so we can start a discussion about this, because I would like to know just how many people out there view other YouTubers, and if they notice these patterns emerging within me also. I'm not excluding myself from this. What do you see within the behavioral patterns of the pagan YouTube community, and how people project themselves, and how that relates to their inability? Cats, look. Say hello, Daenerys. Oh, isn't she beautiful? Yeah, she is. Oh. Okay, you can go now. Go on. Yep. Love kittens. Anyway, so on that point, I'm just going to let it go. What are your thoughts on this topic? Video responses would be absolutely wonderful, because I think this is actually a really great topic to discuss. And much love, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.